Hi there. How are you? In Benchmark, we've been talking about how you can find out about the past by looking at objects or artifacts from the past. And today I want to talk about ancient Egypt and one of their most fascinating artifacts, which would be mummies. Now, I directed you to read this story in your Investigating the Past Benchmark booklets called A New Discovery. It's more like an article than a story. And I also directed you to watch that video on YouTube. But I wanted to fill in the gaps about mummies because they are very fascinating artifacts that we can look at to find out more about ancient Egypt. So I'm going to go ahead and read you this book. It's written by Elizabeth Carney. And it's not illustrated. It actually has photos. Check that guy out. This chapter is called Whoa, Mummy. A farmer is working in swampy land. His shovel hits something hard. He uncovers a blackened body. Ooh. It has hair, teeth, even fingerprints. The farmer calls the police. It looks like the person died recently, but the body is over 2,000 years old. It's a mummy. So the mummy that the man found while he was doing his farming is called the Grabali. I think it's called Grabali or Grabal man. And he was found in a swamp. Crazy, right? Mummy making. When something dies, it decays. Insects, wild animals, and bacteria eat parts of the body. A mummy is a dead body that doesn't decay. A mummy can be made in two ways. People can use bacteria-killing chemicals to make mummies. Or if a body is in the right place at the right time, it can become a mummy naturally. In those places, any dead body might become a mummy. Natural mummies. Body-eating bacteria do not grow well in places that are very cold, or in places that are hot and dry, or in places called bogs. People have found mummies on frosty mountaintops and in hot deserts. Bogs are wet, swamp-like places. Bog mummies can be so well kept that scientists could tell one ancient man used hair gel. So here is a mummy that was found in a swamp. He is known as the Lindau man. He's right here. Oh, and here's a joke for you. What do you call a mummy who eats cookies in bed? A crummy mummy. The man's face looks like he's sleeping, but he didn't die peacefully. This bog mummy in Denmark was found with a rope around his neck. Ooh. Experts think the man was killed as part of a religious ceremony. The bits of his last meal, vegetable soup eaten 2,300 years ago, are still in his stomach. And this guy's called Tolan Man. In 1991, two hikers found a man frozen in the mountains between Italy and Austria. A 5,300-year-old murder mystery. The mummy, nicknamed Otzi, is one of the oldest mummies ever found. He wears a cape and leather shoes, but when scientists took a closer look at Otzi's body, they found a surprise. A stone arrowhead was stuck in his shoulder. Otzi had been shot in the back. Who killed Otzi over 5,000 years ago and why? So far, the case has gone cold. I don't think they can investigate that case. It's too old. Man-made mummies. Now, here's where we get to the part where mummies are made on purpose. For thousands of years, people have made mummies. Many cultures believe that a person's spirit lives on after death. They thought spirits might need things in the next life. That's why mummies were sometimes buried with weapons, jewelry, food, or even mummies of favorite pets. Did you know that pets could be mummified? Yep. Different cultures had their own ways of making mummies. Some dried the bodies with sand or smoke. Others used chemicals to preserve bodies. Here's a joke for you. Why did the mummy call a doctor? Because he was coffin. Get it, coffin? A body goes in a coffin? Okay. The first people to make mummies might have been the Chinchorros. Their mummies are 7,000 years old. They are the oldest man-made mummies ever found. So even the Chinchorros made mummies before the ancient Egyptians did. The Chinchorros mummified everyone who died, from babies to the oldest adults. They covered their mummies' faces with clay masks. Then the mummies were painted to make them black and shiny. The culture disappeared about 3,000 years ago. These strange mummies were all that were left behind. So the word mummify means to treat a dead body so it doesn't break down. That means rot. So you do like a special process to the body to make sure that it doesn't rot, and it's still intact years later. Here's some of the first mummies. It's a baby right there, and then an adult person. How to make a mummy. First, the workers remove organs such as the lungs and the liver. Then, the mummy makers take out the brain through the nose with a large hook. Ooh, gruesome. Then, the workers wash the body and cover it with salt, so the salt would dry out the body and preserve it, keep it intact so it doesn't rot. The body is left to dry for 40 days. The workers rub scented oils on the mummy, and then the workers wrap the mummy in linen. So this process took a long, long time. Tomb of Treasures. Ancient Egyptians made millions of mummies. In 1922, a scientist named Howard Carter found a special mummy in Egypt. Carter peeked into a dark tomb and was struck with amazement. Gold sparkled everywhere. Carter had found the tomb of Tutankhamun. Known as King Tut, he died over 3,300 years ago. He was only 18 years old, but the young king was buried with priceless treasures. Tut's tomb made him the most famous mummy in the world. So a tomb is a room that's a grave, and it's supposed to just be filled with one dead body. So if you were very rich in Egypt, you could buy a whole room to put one coffin in, and they called it a tomb. If you weren't that rich, well, you didn't have a tomb. A mummy's curse. After the discovery of King Tut's tomb, people everywhere wanted to know more about the boy king, but not everything reported about Tut was true. Shortly after the tomb was opened, one of Tut's discoverers died. Some people said that the boy king put a curse on the tomb. Do you think that could happen? This is an actual picture of the discoverer of King Tut, who was a king who died, and they mummified him. And that's a picture of him with that mummy. See that elaborate face mask they used to put on the mummies? It took a long time. Animal wraps. Ancient Egyptians didn't just make human mummies. They made many animal mummies too. Favorite pets were sometimes mummified and buried with their owners. Egyptians thought cats were very special. Sometimes when a cat died, the whole family would mourn its death. Egyptians also made mummies of dogs, crocodiles, monkeys, and birds. These animals were believed to please the gods. See how elaborate they made that cat mummy? Isn't that amazing? And here's a mummified bird and a mummified crocodile. Lovely Lady Mummy. Over 2,000 years ago, a wealthy Chinese woman known as Lady Di died. Her body was treated with salts. Salt takes water out of the body, which helps to keep it from rotting. The body was wrapped in 20 layers of silk. Lady Di was put into a nest of 6 beautifully painted coffins. Workers buried her at the bottom of a tunnel dug deep in the ground. The tomb was shut tight with clay and mud. Workmen found Lady Di in 1972. Her body was in such good shape that her skin and hair were still soft. So even the ancient Chinese used to mummify people. Here's another joke. Why are mummies good at keeping secrets? They keep things under wraps. Get it? Because they're wrapped up? Mummies today. Mummy making is not just a thing of the ancient past. Some famous people have been mummified since then. English thinker Jeremy Bentham died in 1832. He wanted his body to be used for science. Students took out his insides. They mummified his head. Then they dressed his skeleton in clothes. You can still go see him in England. Would you want to go see him? Secrets unwrapped. Mummies can't talk, but they can still tell us many secrets about the past. Scientists study everything in and around a mummy's body. So scientists look at all the artifacts, the mummy, and the things around them to learn about the past. Food left in a mummy's stomach tells about what people ate. Broken bones tell about a person's life and sometimes about his or her death. Scientists can also examine a mummy's clothes and the objects buried with it. All hold clues to people's religions and ways of life. In a way, mummies are like time machines. They give us a peek into the past. Wow. All right. So maybe you could replay this video and have your mummy watch it with you. I will see you later.